Everyone, registered dietitian Libby Parker here, and I'm going to be doing a little talk back about the movie Miss Americana, Taylor Swift's documentary, and specifically about the parts where she talks about her body image and eating issues and her eating disorder. Hey guys, so forgive the appearance. I'm actually homesick today. I'm amazed I'm talking right now because my throat hurts, but this is like the only time that I actually get to watch movies anymore is when I have a sick day, and the house is actually quiet right now. So I just felt really compelled to make this quick video after watching the documentary. I know it's been a really big sensationalized thing in the last couple of weeks, and I'm finally getting a chance to watch it, which is great, and I'm loving it so far. I've been a huge Taylor Swift fan the entire time. Actually, from the moment I saw her perform live opening for Rascal Flatts about a year before she actually made it big and released her first album and everything, and she was an absolutely phenomenal entertainer from day one, and I think the fact she writes her own music is amazing and so touching and really speaks to everyone because it's what we're all going through. Something she mentioned in the movie is that she felt like her fans all kind of grew up with her, and I think that's so true because I feel like we all went through similar things around the same time. I'm a year or two older than her. I'm not exactly sure how old she is now, but it was always very touching, and I love Swift to this day. So yay, Taylor. Thank you so much for all that you do. And I want to say a special thank you to her for making this documentary and putting out what she's been going through, warts and all. I think it's something a lot of celebrities do is try to hide a lot of the personal battles because they're all going through so much. I work with a ton of performers. I am a performer, and you don't want bad press, right? You want everything to look good. And she, throughout the video kept saying her big thing was, wanting to be and come off as a good girl, to please people, to not do anything bad, all of that. And, I think she did a really great job in the media. People really slammed her down, and she kept a very positive front even when she wasn't personally feeling it. So that's so hard. So again, Taylor, thank you so much for really opening up about this. So I want to specifically talk about the eating disorder section of this film. There's, we could talk so much about the entire thing, and I'm loving it all. I'm actually like 3/4 of the way through it right now. I just had to stop and make this video. But it was so poignant that she was talking about how comparing herself in photos or comments that someone would make to her, often strangers like tweeting about her saying, she looks pregnant or, whatever. And there was a part too where I think it was like at the VMA Awards where someone's like, okay, let's get a shot of these legs. Like, you're going home with some guy tonight. And she's like, I'm not going home with a guy tonight. And good for you, Taylor. Like, our bodies are not here just to be on display. Anyway, so she was talking about how when someone would comment on her body, she said, stop eating a little bit. And then she's like, no, I was actually starving. I wasn't eating and exercising a lot. And those are, that's definitely an eating disorder. And then she would talk about how she was keeping track of all of her food. Again, very disordered. I hope that she was getting help. It sounds like she's in a much better place now. But I'm hoping, and it's seeming to me that this documentary is really opening up the dialogue and making it okay for people to recognize disordered eating in themselves and hopefully reach out for help. I think the cult following that she has is going to really make a difference in people's lives. I really hope so. Because she even said, like, it was so unhealthy. She would be in a show and feel like she was going to faint the whole time during and after. And once she started actually taking care of her body, feeding it, getting strong, and not dieting anymore, she could make it through a show without feeling like she was going to faint. And she's felt better than she's ever felt before. And that's exactly what happens. Like, you're not supposed to feel like you're going to faint all the time. You need to feel your body and take care of it. it was such a beautiful message that she had in there. And, trigger warning, I'm going to talk about sizes like she did in there. She said that she's a size 6 now, which, by American standards is still very slim, especially for her height. But she's so much happier and healthier at the size 6 than she was at a 00, which I believe she's like 5'10", 5'11". Like, that is itty bitty. And she, would talk about how she was in blatant denial when someone would say, we're worried about you. She would say, oh no, I'm eating, I'm just exercising a lot, which, exercising a lot is its own disorder. But she said she wasn't eating, and she was in that denial and being very manipulative with it. And that's so classical with eating disorders, especially restrictive disorders like anorexia. So if you're watching this and you're struggling with food, body image, exercise, I want you to know that you're not alone. And I want you to really take an honest look at what you're doing. Even if you're not ready to seek help yet, I want you to start noticing, like, how is your relationship with food, exercise, your body? Is it healthy? Do you feel good about yourself? Do you feel like you have energy? And do you feel healthy? Like, those health and being small are not the same thing. And oftentimes they are opposite of each other. So I want you to really take a hard look at, what are your behaviors and your mindset around food and exercise, and, start the healing process if that's where you're at. You can reach out to me if you need someone to help you find more resources. There's the National Eating Disorder Association, NEDA.org, I believe. I'll link it below, where you can reach out for help. They have a chat line and lots of resources. So definitely don't walk through this alone. So here's where I'm going to get a little bit vulnerable too, because I don't talk about my journey with eating disorders very often. I'm very open about what I do helping people as a dietitian. I'm an eating disorder dietitian. It's, what I do all day. But I also am a performer. I do a lot of musical theater. I do singing. I do dance. And in college, I actually was a restrictive eater as well. I never formally got diagnosed, but knowing what I know now, it was atypical anorexia. And I believe that it really stemmed from very low self-esteem, especially from my junior high days. And it didn't really hit until end of high school. So there was actually a really big lag time before the eating disorder stuff kicked in. And I can trace it back to like a couple things that happened. And I'm sure a lot of you had similar experiences. So I'm actually going to share this without naming any names. But when I went to junior high, seventh grade was the start of our junior high. And in 6th grade, my 2 very best friends that I've been best friends with for 3 years when they moved to our area, when we got to junior high, they ditched me for the cool crowd and like stuck me notes in my locker. So all of a sudden I had like no best friends, like hardly friends. And I was left to navigate this new school, which I'm an extreme introvert. So that was very difficult. So that already made me feel very low self-esteem. And then, various other little things that happened throughout junior high. And then I remember one other really poignant day. And this was actually a good friend of mine about, 8th or 9th grade. And I know she meant no harm by this. Like, to this day, I would swear on my life that she did not mean to say anything negative in this comment. But I was, I hate using terms, but I was a little bit overweight at the time. And I remember her saying to me, she's like, "Oh, you're not fat, you're chunky." That stuck with me. And I think that was kind of the real start of my restriction, because chunky sounds worse than fat to me. I don't know. And now I know, like, it's not about what other people think. It's not about what you look like. It's not about your size, your weight. I haven't weighed myself in like a year and a half now. And I'm happier than I've ever been as well. But at that time, that was such a big trigger for me to start digging into like the diet sections of women's magazines that, you'd find everywhere. Some my mom would bring home, some we'd see at like the doctor's office or, wherever. And I was reading all of these articles about, if you just do this, you're going to lose weight, and all the fad diets. And I started off super healthy. I was, at that time, like, I was a 80s, 90s kid. I'd come home from school and eat like a row of Oreos or a bunch of Pop-Tarts or something. And like, not saying you can't have those. Like, I ate an Oreo this morning, actually. But, when I started, it was like, okay, instead of eating, like 10 Oreos, I'm going to have an apple. And I don't think anyone can say that that's not a healthy choice, but that kind of snowballed and I started restricting more and more. And then when I got to college, I had lost some weight and was started calorie counting and weighing myself excessively. And then as college, went on for the first couple of years, I was exercising a lot. I was in the gym probably 2 hours a day, which now some of my clients are in there even longer, which is crazy to me. But it wasn't for fun. It wasn't for health, even though I would tell people that it was to try to lose weight, and it was not a healthy thing I was doing. I'll say the strange thing and the saving grace that came out of college was I switched majors to nutrition because of my obsession with it, which I see a lot of people actually doing. I think a lot of people get into nutrition major because of their own issues with food, because of their obsession with food, for better or worse. I would say it was the thing that really did a wonderful thing in my life. I actually recovered from my eating disorder basically by the end of college because of what I was learning, because I had a really, really amazing professors in nutrition. They were teaching how food works in the body, why we need all these different foods and nutrients, and that sugar wasn't evil, and like where these molecules go in your body, and why we need to eat so much per day, and that even if we're in a coma, we still need to be consuming calories because our body functions are still happening even if we're not moving physically. And all of that made it so much easier for me to start eating more again and appreciating my body. And then as I got out of college, I started working with eating disorders. It became something where, when you're preaching body love every day, you have to start really believing it for yourself. So while my behaviors had basically changed by the end of college, my self-worth and my self-esteem was still extremely low. And so that was something that I think had to keep coming later. And this is something that I talk about with my clients a lot, is that we can work on the behavioral aspects first, and we do need to get the nutrition in for your brain to start functioning properly again. But a lot of times the self-esteem and body image is some of the last stuff to really start changing. And that's definitely what it was for me. And I was speaking on a panel last night, and we were talking about body image and eating disorders. And something that we all kind of came up with is that, even when you have really great body image, even when you're healed, even when if you've never had an eating disorder, there are still going to be days, still going to be moments when you don't like your body, you don't like yourself. And the good thing is, like, as you keep working on it, those moments get fewer and far between and much shorter. It might be a moment instead of a whole day. It might be a day instead of every day. And so I think that's something I really want to encourage you is, as you're working in your own recovery, is that it'll keep getting better if you keep working on it. So don't give up. I know it's hard. Don't throw in the towel, because life is so much better on the other side. And if you haven't watched the documentary Miss Americana yet, especially if you are a Taylor Swift fan, I am highly recommending it. She has some really great messages in there. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say today. Thanks for taking the time to watch this spontaneous video. And please, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button below. I have lots of eating disorder and recovery related videos coming at you every week. We're on season 2 right now, and I hope that I can help you in some way, and feel free to reach out. I'm here for you, and You are worth it. You are so worthy right now, just as you are. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. All right. Thanks.